April asked me how to do a local pickup. I realized I haven't done a video on how to do that. I'm going to here, and this includes eBay local pickups as well as things you sell on Facebook Marketplace local or Nextdoor, the Nextdoor app. You better open up a note or get a pencil and paper because I'm really going to give you the formula. And instead of having to listen to this again, if you're listening to it, just go ahead and get your notes for it because you're going to do local pickup at some point. How do you do it? What's the best way? Well, my way is the best way. I rarely have anyone not show up, not do what they said they're going to. Very rarely. And I think it's my communication with them. So I'm going to tell you exactly what I do and how I help ensure an overwhelming successful local pickup. If you just don't want to do local pickup, that's fine. I think you're going to sometimes find people in your town going, can I please just meet you somewhere and pick this up and save shipping? And the heavier the item, the more expensive the shipping, the more they're going to want to do that. And how can you say no? Someone wants to give you money and not make you don't have to wrap and ship. And I don't know, driving to my local Quick Trip, literally zero point 0.3 miles from here, I always designate the place. I don't offer options. This is where I'll be. If you want to pick it up, great. I won't charge you shipping and I'll be there. That's what local pickup implies. You can charge a fee for local pickup on eBay if you want to. I just don't think you should. I think you should always offer local pickup. I cannot imagine one scenario where I would not offer it. If I started getting lots and lots of local pickups, would I like that? Would I rather not? I don't know. I get one every month or so. I just don't think it's a big deal. I mean, you're going to drive somewhere anyway that day, probably. You're in full control of where you meet. You should work with your buyer on when you meet, kind of make it good for both of you. I literally designate a place zero point 0.3 miles from my house. I leave, 3 minutes before I leave, and I'm there early. If you just don't want to do it, don't do it, but you're still going to get requests once in a while that would have just been an instant sale from people saying, please, can you sell this to me and not charge shipping or refund my shipping or something like that. If you get something like that and you haven't designated a local pickup, you're going to have a problem because if you don't designate local pickup on every one of your mailing business policies, most of you, if not all, should be using business policies now. It allows you to change some way that you do some sort of shipping, and it affects all of your listings. It's an easy way to update hundreds of your listings at one time. So if you want to add local pickup and you don't have any, you can just add local pickup to every one of your business policies in use right now, and you're done. You've added it. And you'll never get an email saying, please, what can we do? Now, if you do not offer local pickup and you get a sale and someone just begs you, please let me meet anywhere you want, when you want, and not charge shipping on this heavy item, how can you refuse that? Of course, you're going to do that. But your problem is eBay's going to expect that thing to be shipped because you did not offer a local pickup. And no matter what the messages say, eBay expects that to be shipped. I had this problem once before that I didn't have local pickup on something. I don't remember what it was. It's very rare that I just, for some reason, wouldn't. I think I came up with some strange new business policy to fit some odd thing, and they wanted a local pickup. So great. So we had messages back and forth, going to pick it up, and I didn't really think it through, and I got a ding on my account because it said I never shipped this thing. That's a big problem. I did then mark it shipped, but I couldn't add a tracking number. It never went away until my 3 months went by. For some of you, a whole year goes by. Depending on your amount of sales you get, eBay either runs the last 3 months or the last year, and they show on your performance score either a year's worth or 3 months worth. So I had to wait 3 months for that thing to go off, and I get 100% shipping on time rating again. I didn't like that. I called eBay customer support, and they wouldn't remove it. They understood. They read the messages saying, buyer, I'd love to pick this up. Sure, let's meet. The meeting place, we finally did it. I got great feedback. I gave them great feedback. And yet the customer service lady said, I totally understand. You should have this removed. We don't have any way to remove this. I think she's wrong, but that's the way it was. So always offer local pickup. Or if you don't, you're going to have to mail them something. And I would mail them the cheapest, thinnest box you can mail. And, 1 ounce, just a padded envelope. Tell them when you pick it up, I'm sorry, but I've got to do this. But the problem there is if you can't make a meeting point within your handling time, you've got to mail them something within your handling time. So you've got to mail them a 1 ounce little padded envelope. Then if they decide, oh, just ship it to me, you've got another problem. So you're going to be out that postage. I mean, that's because all you need to do is change your business policies and add local pickup to every one of them, and you're in Fat City. So that's the first thing you need to do. You just need to do it. Second, whenever someone chooses local pickup and you have immediate payment, they're going to pay. I love it whenever they use PayPal or whatever they use and they've already paid when we pick it up. It's just less for us to deal with. And I know I've got my money. When they choose local pickup, they're going to say, hey, can we meet somewhere? And I always say, which happens to be literally true because I work at home, but I literally say, we work at 51st and Sheridan. There's a quick trip right here. We could run over and meet you at your convenience. Name a date and time. And if I had a meeting or a scheduled video Zoom call I had to be on, I would say in that first message, I can't do this between 1 and 3 tomorrow, but I say I'm available. You would say when you are available. I say we can run over from work at 51st and Sheridan, local quick trip. So you just change that to whatever. I would pick a public place. Quick Trip is a convenience store for those of you who live in caves and don't know that. The best convenience store ever. If you don't have Quick Trip yet, you will. It's moving across the country rapidly, and it's like the Krispy Kremes of convenience store. It's by far the best there is. I like to meet in a Quick Trip parking lot. They've always got plenty of crowds going on. So that's where I meet. You should pick a place like that. Some people pick in front of a police station. That's fine, no problem. I write them and I say, we work, write this down, something like this. We can meet you at the Quick Trip at 51st and Sheridan. Then I say, just about any time of day over the next 4 days, name your day and time, and we will confirm. So they write back, hopefully, and actually answer my question and say, sure, let's meet there tomorrow at 4 p.m. And I will confirm that. I say, okay, great. I always say we. I don't know. It's always just me, or Janie might go, but rarely. It's usually just me. I feel like they might be more comfortable, especially if it's a lady, that it's more people, husband and wife probably. I mean, they might look at our About Me page profile, and I just always say we, even though I'm the only one that shows up. Because if I show up, they're just as safe as if we showed up, but it makes them more comfortable to meet. So I guess that's a little white lie. I didn't think about that. Sometimes Janie will be with me. I never know. We will meet you tomorrow at 4. I always confirm. I say, we will meet you tomorrow at the 51st and Sheridan Quick Trip at 4 p.m. We drive a Hyundai medium-sized gray SUV. This is my cell phone number. Text or call if you can't make it. That's really critical. So I leave that and they confirm yes or no. Fine, we'll be there. Something like that. They usually will tell you what they're driving. We'll be in a red convertible. And they often will give me their cell phone number, but not always. I then will text back. If they don't give me the cell phone and I say, text us if for any reason something. I just had a little glitch in my recording, sorry. But if they don't text back their phone number, I will say this. Please text me if you cannot make it, or text or call if you cannot make it, even if it's the last minute. And then I'll say, things happen, that's okay, but it keeps me from waiting there a long time. So if you can't make it, no problem. Just let me know, even if it's real close to the time, to 4 o'clock. And then I say, if you would like me to do the same, message me back with your cell phone number. And they'll usually give it at that point. But I've met before whenever I didn't have their cell phone number. I think them giving me their cell phone number, it does allow me to contact them if something came up. I mean, real fast. They're probably not going to see an eBay message at 15 minutes before 4 when they're walking out the door to meet me. This way I can text them or call them and say I can't make it. But I always make it. I just can't imagine not keeping my word at meeting somebody. That is like my biggest fear on earth. I would never do that to someone. Never late to a meeting. I just don't do that. But it keeps them also pretty honest. It does allow them freedom to tell me I can't make it, sorry, or something came up, I'll be 10 minutes late. I don't even mind that. I'd rather just know it though, and I've given them total freedom. Great, let me know. The day of the pickup, or maybe it's today at 5 p.m. and it's in the morning time, and about 4 hours before, I'm going to say I will text them, whatever day and time it is, I'll text them 3 or 4 hours ahead of time and say, I'm still planning to be there, just letting you know I won't forget. I always arrive early. I find that more than half of them arrive early as well. So that's great. We get it done earlier and run back home. You have more time for Krispy Kremes and coffee that way. But I always get there a little early. How much earlier? Usually 7 minutes or so earlier. I'll get there and I will let them know. I'll say, I got here early. No rush. I'm not trying to rush you. I just wanted you to know I'm here early, waiting in a gray, medium-sized SUV, Hyundai. Say, don't rush. Drive safely, but I'll see you at 4. I say that right before, about 7 minutes before the pickup. I like to do that. That's just one more confirmation. I'm there, and if they cannot make it or forgot all about it, they can tell me that. I won't care for that very much that they didn't meet, but I sure like that a whole lot better than me waiting there another 20 minutes and they just never show up because they forgot about it. Now, you can just wait until it's 5 minutes past and say, where are you? But I think it's more polite and it just allows them more freedom whenever I tell them in advance, I'm here early, drive safely, I'll be here. Then they show up, hopefully. I tell you, I thought about this before I did this video. I assume I've had 1 or 2 not show up. I can't recall any. I have about 1 a month of these, and I just can't recall any that never showed up. You would think I would if I ever had any. I've never had anyone say, I don't like this, I don't want to buy it. I've never had any problem. I know some of you have had at least one problem and maybe multiples. I'm sorry. Maybe the strategy that I'm telling you gets people more attached to this meeting and less likely to cancel for whatever reason. Now, this works on Facebook Marketplace, right? Next door, as I said. With eBay, it's a little different because eBay's kind of keeping you all honest. They want that buyer to leave you feedback. They want that buyer to do what the buyer said. But with Facebook Marketplace, not so much. With Nextdoor app, not so much. If you meet someone, I would still do every one of these steps, only if they haven't paid, which they probably haven't on one of those 2 apps, I would say, I'm sorry, we can't take checks just because of the time it takes to clear. So if you would pay with cash or we take Venmo or PayPal, that's fine too. But everything else I do exactly the same. I say, we work right at 51st and Sheridan. We'll meet you at the Quick Trip at a time and day of your choosing. Please choose a time and day and we will confirm. Okay, remember that. Remember, I then follow that up with we drive a medium-sized gray SUV Hyundai, and our phone number is 918 whatever. Text me if you're going to be late, no problem. Or if you can't make it, no problem. Even if it's the last minute, that way I won't wait a long time for you. And then I go through the whole thing. Even if it's Facebook Marketplace, they haven't paid or anything, but I go through the same thing. So then 3 or 4 hours before the meeting time, I will text them. I will message them that I'm still planning to be there. Everything's fine. I look forward to meeting you, or we look forward to meeting you. Then when I get there a little bit early, I'll text them and say, I'm early. I'm here on the west side in the parking lot as whatever you had said you're going to be, in a gray, medium-sized SUV, and let me know if there are any problems, but drive safely. I just want them to know I'm not trying to rush them, but at the same time, I'd kind of like to know their status. I kind of imply that, but I don't ask for it because they're not late yet. I don't think I've ever had a problem. I've had a few people a little late. Without telling me, I had one the very last time. She said, I'm in traffic. I'm going to be about 10 minutes late. Okay, I'll wait. What are you going to do? Can't be angry at her, although she should have left earlier. It's not your fault, but that's okay. At least she showed up and paid. When they show up, you really have an obligation for eBay to do the following, and so does your buyer. And here's the way it works. And my problem is I can't show you an actual screen. I can only find these cloudy Google images of what happens. But the buyer will get a message from eBay, and also it's going to be on their app on Contact the Seller. And it's whenever you get with the seller, show the seller this barcode, this QR code. And the seller is going to be able to do that. The seller's going to be able to scan the buyer's barcode. 2 local pickups ago, the guy said, I've never done this before. I don't know anything about a QR code. I said, I know. It's there on your app, or look at the email. He just clicked his app and clicked on this sale, and sure enough, it was right there. I mean, he didn't look frustrated or anything. He said, oh, okay. And he showed me the barcode, and I scanned it. As soon as you scan that buyer's barcode, you have told eBay, this transaction's done. It's like the post office's tracking item delivered, all as well. And you don't have to do it within your handling time. eBay knows the buyer may not be able to meet you for 3 days. That's okay. No problem. No problem. No problem. eBay's not going to count you late on a local pickup. So you really want that scan. If they just can't do it, it's going to be easy for anybody to find. If you want to say, can I look at your eBay app with you or something like that, if you want to do that. It's okay if you don't. If you don't, you get home and you will put item delivered. You'll just have to go to that record, your item sold items list, and choose the drop down that said item delivered. But it's for a local pickup. Whatever it says for local pickup, the transaction's done. That's not as good as this barcode. I assume an unsavory buyer could say, I never received this, and they could tell you they can't do the barcode, but I don't know. I've never met anyone doing this that I thought was unsavory or that I sensed there was any problem. They're all just great. They're all just thrilled to get it. They're thrilled not to pay shipping. They just love it. I just think this will just go well for most people most of the time. Just do it. It's no big deal. And once your sales really start growing, yeah, you'll look at, I'm guessing, 1 a month or so of these. That's okay. That's great. The larger the town you live in, of course, the more often it's going to happen. We are in Tulsa, which is about the metro area, about 500,000 people. That's a lot of people. So I get about 1 a month. If you're in a larger town, you might get 3 a month. But those are the issues you might have, and that's how you handle this. I leave feedback the moment I get in my car because I want them to see when they get home, wow, he's already left feedback. That'll encourage them to leave it for me. And I'll say, super friendly person. Friendly sometimes is in the eye of the beholder. And, A+ transaction, glad to have met. Anytime they want to deal again, we're thankful for them. Be glad to do it. The very last transaction, the buyer sent her niece to meet me and had the money, had the cash, and I had the item. But the niece didn't have an eBay app. There was no scanning available. So that the very last one was really the first time the buyer couldn't really figure out the QR code, because I've had several that didn't know how to do it, but then just instantly saw how to do it as the buyer. There's just something on the buyer's side that makes this easy, and you can scan it. But she just couldn't because it wasn't the buyer that showed up. So on that one, I did have to leave, just say whatever it says for a local pickup. Item delivered probably is what it says. Just as an aside, 2 times ago, I sold a picture of me with Warren Spahn. I was 4 or 5 years old. I was a super baseball fan when I was really young. And Warren Spahn, I sat on his lap. I used to go into the locker room of the baseball team, and Warren knew me. And I got a beautiful picture of me with Warren Spahn. I was in my baseball uniform that I always used whenever I went to these games. I'll try to find that picture and show it to you. And so the buyer wanted it, and I met the buyer, and he has this baseball museum here locally, the local team, and a lot of baseball stuff. And this was going into his museum, and he told me all about it and really wanted to know if I had anything else. And since then, I've sent him 2 or 3 other photographs that he wanted. And he wants me to tell him if I run across any more. I might have some more somewhere. Autographed baseballs, I've had those before. He would just like first dibs at that sort of thing before I list it. And I never want to take money away from eBay if they bring a buyer and seller together on a transaction. But once you've done a deal and you get to know the person, you can deal outside of eBay. I just wouldn't put it on eBay until they've decided, go ahead and list it on eBay. But I don't think after that you're obligated to list every single thing that person might be interested in on eBay first. So that was interesting. The very last transaction I had, I said the niece sent this, and she said, my aunt wants to know some provenance about this. It was a Christmas ornament of a local church, huge church locally. And she said, does this have any story behind it? She's just curious. I said, yes. My mother went to this church for the past 40 years until she got dementia, can't go anymore. And this was the church that I kind of grew up in and all of this. She said, wow, she said, I bet she knows my mother, Nancy. And that really triggered a bell because I knew her mother too back when I was a kid in church choirs. I was in all the church choirs at a church before this one, and then the church had a split, and we all moved to this other church 40 years ago. And I knew who her mother was, but I also knew her son was my best friend. So I said, well, what I do recall is I was best friends as a kid with David Van Dyne. And she said, that's my father. That's my father. And it's really neat. We went back and forth about the history. I love that sort of thing. It's great. I learned all about the local baseball museum. I want to go. I've helped put things in it for a profit. It's just nice memories. So this is all good. It's all good. Take their money, help them out, save them shipping, and you're going to get sales that you wouldn't get otherwise.